10 things you should know. Really tall people freak me out. My gaze tends to end up in weird places I'd rather it not be. You laugh, but try talking to someone's armpit or waistband, then get back at me. On the flip side, really short people freak me out too, or make me feel really gangster. It depends on how short they are. Ashiness is not a sin, but it should be. And if you've convinced yourself that you can't or don't get ashy, then you are sadly mistaken and need to holler at some lotion ASAP. I get the feeling people think I'm a lot more conservative and reserved than I actually am. Or maybe they think I'm stuck up. Either way, I'm neither. I don't take myself seriously enough to be stuck up, and I have the attention span of a baby monkey, which really doesn't lend itself to the discipline it takes to be reserved. My mom has told me ever since I was little that not only does she love me, but she also really likes me and would have no problem being my best friend, even if she wasn't my mom. She usually follows that up with, but I would hate to be on your shit list. I think that last part is her way of telling me I'm being an ass. I cuss a lot, a whole lot. Not like sailor status, but definitely more than my grandma would approve. I understand that there are other words. I just happen to like cuss words. Don't judge me. I had a cat I named Sexy because it was funny and because she was. And how hilarious is it to make a vet appointment for Sexy Pickett? No, not sassy. I said sexy. When I was 11, I read the autobiography of Assata Shakur, and it totally changed my life. I read it over and over and over again and decided that I wanted to be a revolutionary. I got in a lot of trouble after that. Totally worth it. My sixth grade teacher told my mom that I was an excellent student when I wanted to be, but that she should probably watch me because I was boy crazy. Who says that? Haters. Shortly thereafter, my mom decided that I should be homeschooled. Coinkydink? Methinks not. My teacher was right though. FYI, you know what's a really bad pickup line? Hey shawty, I bet you got really pretty hair up under there. Sometimes I feel like a disappointing hijabi. Like I'm not as much as people expect. Muslims and non-Muslims. Not as refined or as delicate or as nice or as sane. Whatever, it's a piece of fabric, not a magic wand.
This is an exciting show. I went to it myself at the Kennedy Center. My daughter was going to audition, by the way. What do you want people to take home from this? Your piece, those 10 things, Rafia, your story about the wedding. What do you want people to take home with them? And I'll start with Rafia. What do you want them to take home, quickly?
Just that Muslim women experience what every other human being experiences, and I think the program highlighted that. It was very touching for me because I have a son. I have a first son, and all of what that woman expressed, I just can't imagine having that experience. I mean, we want our sons to be married, we want our kids to be married, but Allah has another
Camilla,
plan.
what do you want people to
take away
from this?
Well, I would say from the experience overall, that storytelling is powerful, and then when you can be engaged with someone else through their story, then it tells you a bit about yourself, and it sort of colors how you interact with everyone around you. I don't know necessarily that my piece was that deep.
It was deep. It was deep.
It was,
deep.
but it was a reflection of me. It was just a reflection of me at a particular moment, and sort of the randomness of everyday life.
See, I think there's a key piece in this, which is that these are not stories about in one show. I know everything about.
Yeah, absolutely not.
And that's the point. I mean, like, I'm not Muslim. I'm not
not?
a woman. I am American.
Okay.
But it's, you know, the reason why
You're wearing your invisible
my
hijab
invisible
today.
hijab today. But the reason why it's important to me, and I think you hit on it, is it's so people can relate. Stories allow someone to relate to you. There's always a thread. There's always a little nugget in there that you can see a little bit of yourself, even if the person isn't from the same background that you are.
You know, I'm laughing about the piece about the football game.
Yes.
And Sahar, that experience gave me a kind of like, wow. I really felt in that piece like I was at that football game, but I was seeing it. That's a plug for people to actually get the hijab monologues.
Right.
But Sahar, what do you want people to take out of this?
From the football game or from the...
From the hijabi monologue.
From the hijabi monologues, we want people to walk out thinking, I don't know anything about you. And that's the challenge. You know, you see me, you might see me as a representation, you might see me as a symbol, but you really don't know anything about me because you don't know my experience of this particular moment. And I think for both Muslims and people of other faith, that's a really important takeaway, that sometimes we have to suspend judgment. It's very difficult to pass judgment and to give advice to someone that we don't know anything about.
What we see when we see him is this otherness.
Yeah. And that was the thing for me. It was like I was ignorant. You know, I automatically saw Sahar wearing a hijab, and I also automatically made all of these assumptions. I'm like, you know, okay, she must be this religious, and she must think this way, and her father must be this way. Boom, boom, boom. And it was, and then, but once we started telling stories and becoming friends, you're like, wow, like that was really dumb. You know?
Well, I want Sahar to thank you for indulging Dan's dumbness.
Yeah.
But I really, this work, what's the future?
You know, Sahar and I had a long conversation this weekend, and we're kind of going through the, strategic planning process.
You did Chicago, you've done Washington.
Miami, LA. What we want to do is get this out. We want to do some big shows around the country, right? And we want to do that. And then what we really want to do, though, is just for me to be a movement. So once we do these big shows, let's engage local communities.
Because I know other people are picking up the hijabi monologues. They're doing them by themselves.
Yeah.
They're saying, send me some materials. I'm going to audition some people.
Yeah.
Totally independent of this movement that you've started. Dan, you're also doing something else, though.
Yeah, we used to be called One Well. It's called Citizen Effect now. And the whole idea is that anybody can be a philanthropist, right?
Okay.
You don't have to be Bill Gates to change the world. And so what we do is we empower everyday people to go out and be the change they want to see in the world.
Right on. I think that's going to have to be it for us today. I want to thank you all for being our guests.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will do. Don't go away. We'll be right back with a few of my closing thoughts. When we look at our society today and experience theatrical performances like the hijabi monologues, really reminds us that we have perhaps gotten past some of the veils and barriers that make us think that maybe Muslims are only those strange people who wear different kinds of clothing, who pray in the mosque and fast in Ramadan. These expressions and many more hopefully will have opened our eyes and our ears and our minds, that we might look more deeply into the reality of our neighbors, to see that they are in many ways just like us. But until then, I'll be living Islam in America.